A surgeon's hands were shaking. Dr. Thomas Richardson had just kicked Michael Jackson out of his hospital, told him he knew nothing about saving lives. 8 minutes later, that same surgeon watched a child's heart rate drop 52 beats per minute, without a single drug, no medicine, no science, just a voice in the darkness. What Richardson saw in that operating room would force him to rewrite everything he thought he knew about healing. March 3, 1996. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, Los Angeles, 4:17 in the morning. Richardson was the best heart surgeon in California, 54 years old, 28 years of experience, over 3,000 successful surgeries, a man who believed only in what he could measure. That night, a 9-year-old girl was dying, and nobody could calm her down. Red alarms screamed through the emergency room. Richardson rushed toward operating room C. His surgical team was already preparing, but then he saw something that stopped him cold. A man in a black hat and mask stood near the intensive care unit. Security guard Frank Martinez had his hand on the man's shoulder. "Sir, this is a restricted area." The man lowered his mask slightly. "I'm Michael Jack." "I don't care!" Richardson's voice exploded through the hallway. Every nurse stopped. Every doctor turned. The entire corridor went silent. "I don't care who you are. This isn't a concert stage. This is a hospital. Security, remove him, now." Michael Jackson's voice was barely a whisper. "Doctor, there's a child in room 412. Emma Chen, 9 years old. Heart surgery tonight. She's terrified. Her mother called me 3 days ago. Emma asked if I could visit. Just 1 minute to help her relax." Richardson stepped closer, his face red with anger. "That child doesn't need you. She needs me. She needs medicine. She needs science. You're just a singer. You entertain people. But real life and death, you know nothing." Michael didn't argue. He just looked at Richardson with those sad, knowing eyes and walked away, footsteps echoing down the corridor. 4:42 a.m. Operating Room C. Emma Chen lay on the surgical table, trembling. Tears streamed down her face. Her small hands wouldn't stop shaking. Assistant nurse Linda Martinez burst through the doors, face pale with worry. "Doctor, major problem. Patient's pulse is 142. Blood pressure 148/96. We've given sedatives and anti-anxiety medication. Nothing is working. If we anesthetize her now, cardiac arrest risk is extremely high." Richardson looked through the window. Emma was crying uncontrollably. Her mother held her hand, also crying. "What does she want?" Linda hesitated. "She won't have surgery unless she can see Michael Jackson." Richardson's jaw clenched. His hands gripped the sink edge. Then he saw him. Through the observation gallery window above. That same black hat. Richardson grabbed the phone. "Security! Unauthorized person in observation gallery!" But Michael pressed the intercom button. "Emma, it's Michael. I'm here, sweetheart." Emma's head turned. She stopped crying. "Michael, you came." "Of course. I promised your mom. I'm right here." Richardson grabbed the intercom. "Mr. Jackson, you need to leave." "Dr. Richardson, please, let me sing to her. 1 song, 2 minutes. If it doesn't help, I'll leave immediately. But please." Richardson looked at the monitors. Pulse, 143. Climbing higher. Linda whispered urgently, "Doctor, if we can't calm her in 5 minutes, we postpone. With her condition, that could be fatal." Every instinct screamed to refuse. This was unprofessional. But he looked at Emma's terrified face. He pressed the intercom. 2 minutes. Stay in that gallery. Do not enter this room. Thank you, doctor. The miracle. Michael looked down at Emma. He could see the fear in her eyes. The monitors flashing red. Emma, sweetheart, can I turn off the lights in the operating room? Richardson's head snapped toward the intercom. Turn off the lights. This is a surgical suite. We need sterilization protocols. But Emma's voice came through. Yes, Michael, please. Richardson looked at Linda. Her eyes pleaded with him. Doctor, what if it works? He pressed the button. Fine. Main lights only. Surgical lights stay on. 2 minutes. Linda walked to the controls, hands trembling. One by one, lights went out. The operating room transformed. Only the surgical spotlight remained, creating a small circle around Emma. Everything else was shadows. Michael began to sing. Not the polished album voice, something raw, real, something that came from somewhere deeper. Heal the world, make it a better place. His voice filled the room, like warm water. Soft at first, like a lullaby. Richardson stood at the window, arms crossed, skeptical. He glanced at monitors. Pulse, 143. Still dangerously high. For you and for me and the entire human race. Then something impossible happened. The numbers started to change. Pulse, 140, 138, 135. What's happening? Richardson whispered. Linda stared, mouth open. I don't know, doctor. I've never seen this. Michael's voice grew stronger. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living. Pulse, 132, 128, 124. Emma's eyes began to close, not from fear, from peace. Make a better place for you and for me. Anesthesiologist Dr. James Cooper stared at his equipment like it had betrayed him. This is impossible. Vagal tone doesn't decrease this fast without drugs. The nervous system can't respond this quickly. But it was happening right in front of them. Pulse, 118, 112, 106. Michael's voice filled every corner. The instrument stopped rattling. The machine stopped beeping. Everything seemed to be listening. Richardson's skeptical expression cracked, his arms uncrossed. 28 years as a surgeon. He'd seen miracles of modern medicine. But never this. Make a little space. Make a better place. Pulse, 93, 92, 91, 90. Normal range. Emma was completely still, breathing slow and steady, face peaceful. When Michael's voice faded, nobody moved, nobody spoke. Linda had tears streaming. Cooper stared at monitors. Nurses were frozen. Richardson stood at the window, mouth open, eyes wet. Michael pressed the intercom. She's ready now, Dr. Richardson. Richardson couldn't speak. Finally, he whispered. How? 28 years I've been a surgeon. Never seen this. You dropped her heart rate 52 beats without medication. Just music. Just voice. How is that possible? Michael adjusted his mask. Voice. Quiet. Almost sad. Dr. Richardson, you operate on hearts. You're brilliant. You save lives every day. He paused. But I just touch them. Michael turned and walked out, footsteps echoing down the hallway. Richardson stood at the window, staring where Michael had been. The intercom in his hand was shaking. Because his hand was shaking. 5:23 a.m. surgery began. Richardson's hands moved with absolute precision. Every cut perfect, every suture flawless. But this time was different. During the entire 4-hour operation, he heard Michael's voice. Heal the world. Make it a better place. The surgery was the most successful Richardson ever performed. 0 complications, no bleeding, no irregular rhythms. At 8:47 a.m., Emma's repaired heart beat with strong rhythm, 92 beats per minute, the same rhythm when Michael finished singing. When Richardson left the operating room, still in his surgical gown, Frank Martinez waited in the hallway. "Doctor, Michael Jackson asked me to give you this." An envelope. Inside, a handwritten note. "Thank you for letting me help, Doctor. You saved her life. I just helped her be ready. With respect, MJ." Richardson read it 7 times, folded it carefully, put it in his pocket, right over his heart. He carried it every day for the rest of his career. Never threw it away. 10 years later, 2006, Cedars-Sinai. Richardson was 64, preparing to retire after 43 years. But first, he did something extraordinary. He used his life savings to establish the Music and Medicine Research Center, the first hospital program studying medical effects of music on surgical patients. They played music before surgeries, brought musicians to visit children, studied heart rates, stress hormones, recovery times. Results were remarkable. Success rates increased 23%. Recovery times decreased 18%. Anxiety dropped 41%. Every paper included. In memory of the night, we learned medicine is both science and art. On Richardson's wall hung a photograph. Operating room, see March 3rd, 1996. Through the window, barely visible, a silhouette in a black hat. Below, Michael's note. Next to it, Richardson's words. 28 years learning to operate on hearts. 1 night to learn to touch them. Emma Chen graduated medical school in 2018. 27 now, pediatric cardiologist at Cedars-Sinai, working in the same hospital where Michael saved her life. She treats children with heart conditions. Before every surgery, plays music, usually Heal the World. When parents ask why, she tells the story about the surgeon who told Michael to leave, and how Michael stayed anyway and sang in the darkness. Richardson passed away in 2018 at 76. His funeral was at the hospital where he'd worked 43 years. They didn't play classical music. They played Heal the World. Because on March 3rd, 1996, Richardson learned the most important lesson of his career. Medicine fixes the body, science repairs damage, surgery replaces parts, but music heals the soul. Sometimes the best medicine isn't in a prescription bottle. Sometimes it's a single note sung with compassion. That's the difference between operating on a heart and touching one. This story is inspired by Michael Jackson's legacy. Characters are fictional, but the message is eternal. If this moved you, share it with someone who needs to remember the power of compassion. Because in a world that's forgotten how to feel, sometimes all we need is someone willing to sing in the darkness.